welcome everybody at the same time.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Welcome everybody!
Wow, that's all. But one word each. Say, let's get that coin, that could be our intro.
That could be our intro.
Let's get that coin.
Let's get that coin. Let's dive into this video. Oh yes.
Yeah?
Welcome everybody. Let's get that coin.
Okay, I wasn't ready for it again. Today's class, we're starting at the beginning with why should we even be bothered about cryptocurrency?
Okay.
What's the point?
What?
Why do we need Bitcoin?
¿Por qué?
Why should we invest in it?
¿Por qué?
Why is it a good idea?
Maria.
What?
You know in telenovelas.
Yeah,
And they be like, ¿Por qué, Maria? Yeah.
If you're worried that we're going to get too technical and use a lot of complicated words, don't. Here at
Good. Don't
dummies.
dummies. He remind me of one of those. He could.
What just happened?
Sorry, he could be the announcer of a tube station.
Next stop, Preston Central.
Before we talk about Bitcoin, I want to take a moment and talk about money.
Yes.
What is money exactly? At
Exactly.
its core, money represents value. If I do some work for you, you give me money in exchange for the value I gave you. I can then use that money to get something of value from someone else in the future. Throughout history, value has taken many forms, and people have used a lot of different materials to represent money. Salt, wheat, shells, and of course, gold have all been...
Sorry, when was it ever used? So, okay, when did you go to the Dead Sea and be like, I'm gonna get rich?
medium of exchange. However, in order for something to represent value, people have to trust that it is indeed valuable and will stay valuable long enough for them to redeem that value in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Up until 100 years ago or so, we always trusted in something to represent money. However, something happened along the way, and we've changed our trust model from trusting something to trusting in someone. Let me explain.
What is that? I was like, what does that mean?
It's too cumbersome to walk around the world carrying bars of gold or other forms of money, so paper money was invented. Here's how it worked. A bank or government would offer to take possession of your bar of gold, let's say worth $1,000, and in return, that bank would give you receipt certificates, which we call bills, amounting to $1,000. Not only were these pieces of paper much easier to carry, but you could spend $1 on a cup of coffee and not have to cut your gold bar into 1,000 pieces. And if you wanted...
Was that ever the
sense.
case? Was that ever the case that people would chip down parts of their gold and be like, hey, I want some veggies?
No, but if you think about Roman times, they used to just have silver and gold in weights of coin. So the coins would represent a really small amount of the gold bar. The British pound is called a pound because you get a bill for a pound of gold in weight, and you just go to the bank and you trade your IOU basically for a pound of gold.
Back, you simply took $1,000 in bills back to the bank to redeem them for the actual form of money, in this case, that gold bar, whenever you needed. And so, paper began its use as money as an instrument of practicality and convenience. However, as time progressed and due to macroeconomic changes, this bond between the paper receipt and the gold it stands for was broken. Now, to explain the path that led us away from the gold standards is extremely complex, but suffice to say that governments told their people that the government itself would be liable for the value of that paper money. Basically, we all said, let's just forget about gold and trade paper instead. So, people continued to trade with receipts that are backed by nothing but the government's promise. And why did that continue to work?
Wait, I missed that.
Okay, so what he's saying is the paper itself never used to be the money. The gold was the money.
Right.
The gold holds the value.
Yeah.
The paper is just to make it easier to trade.
Right.
But really it's backed by the gold. The paper doesn't mean anything unless you can trade it for gold.
Right.
But over time, people started to treat the paper bills as the money, and it stopped being tied to the amount of gold you could get.
But how did that happen?
Because it just became, well, there's actually a whole historical reason, but it's actually too long to go into, genuinely.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I want to go into it.
I can go into it with you if you want later, but not for the video.
But
It's
what
way
if they
too much
want to
depth.
know?
They won't want to know.
Write in the comment section if you want to know, and we'll make a different video about it.
because of trust. Even though there is no actual commodity backing paper money, people trusted the government, and that's how fiat money was created.
I've heard fiat
Fiat is a
before.
Latin word that means by decree, meaning the dollars or euros or any other currency for that matter have value because the government orders it to. It's what's known as legal tender, coins or banknotes that must be accepted if offered as payment. So the value of today's money actually comes from a legal status given to it by a central authority, in this case, the government. And so the trust model has changed from trusting something to trusting someone, in this case, the government. Fiat money has two main drawbacks. One, it is centralized. You have a central authority that controls and issues it, in this case, the government or central bank. And two, it is not limited by quantity. The government or central bank can print as much as they want whenever needed and inflate the money supply on the market.
This is basically what's happening right now, right?
Yes.
Like with the coronavirus happening, the governments are printing money like there's no fucking tomorrow.
Yes.
And they're making it, that's not good. I don't know much
Yeah.
about money, but I know that's not good.
It's not good because when you increase the money supply, all the money becomes less valuable. So if a cup of coffee costs $2 today, but then they print more money, it costs $4 tomorrow.
See, I told you it wasn't good. I told you
bitches.
it wasn't good. Thank you, Jay.
You're welcome.
Printed money is that because you're flooding the market with more money, the value of each dollar drops. So
We could have just waited 3 seconds.
when you see prices rising throughout the years, it's not necessarily that prices are rising as much as that the purchasing power of your money is dropping. You
Right.
need more dollars to buy something that used to cost less. Once
But
fiat money was in
but
place,
it's costing the same.
Yeah, in terms of the ratio of money that it costs, yes.
Right, so it's the same. Same, but different. Oh!
Today, we mainly use credit cards, wire transfers, PayPal, and other forms of digital money. The amount of physical money in the world is almost negligible, and it's getting smaller with each year that passes. So if money today is digital, how does that even work? I mean, if I have a file that represents $1, what's to stop me from copying it 1,000,000 times and having $1 million?
Exactly.
This is called the double spend problem. The solution that banks use
I like
today
the
is
double
a
spend.
centralized solution. They keep a ledger on their computer which keeps track of who owns what. Everyone has an account, and this ledger keeps a tally for each account. We don't trust the bank.
Ledger.
Exactly.
Ledger.
Yes. But you can see the problem here, right, with just the one central authority controlling everything. They have all the control over the money supply.
Right.
Yeah. But you need to have them, otherwise you could just pretend that you have more money than you actually have. So cryptocurrency needs to find a way to try and solve that problem. That's the point of cryptocurrency, is to solve the double spend problem in a better way than handing over all the power to the central bank and the government.
So hold on, is the central banks and the government two entities, or is it the same entity?
Different.
Different.
Yeah. It depends what country you're in, but in Britain and the USA, they are different. The Bank of England controls the money supply, and the government is just a completely separate entity from the Bank of England that they ask them for money.
So the government asks the central banks for money because they control the money supply.
Mhm.
Do they get a loan then?
Yes. Yeah.
That's how it works.
Yeah. That's how you can be in deficit. You know, when they talk about countries being in deficit and we've got a huge national debt.
Yeah.
They're in debt to the central bank, usually.
Oh, that's not good.
So during Corona times, the Fed, the Federal Reserve, which is the central bank of America, just printed a load of money and flooded the markets with money. It wasn't the government that did that. The government asked the Fed to do it. But the Fed is a separate entity. And it's not democratically elected. You don't actually know who owns the Fed.
What?
Yeah, yeah.
This is the problem with
Wow, she's so fuming she can't even speak.
No, but this is the problem with the current monetary system, isn't it?
Yes.
It's messed up.
Yeah.
Please tell me crypto is the answer to solve this.
We're about to find out.
All right, Nick. Keep talking, brother.
They trust their computer. And so the solution is centralized on this ledger in this computer. You may not know this, but there were many attempts to create alternative forms of digital currencies. However, none were successful in solving the double spend problem without a central authority.
Right.
Whenever you give anyone control over the money supply, you're giving them enormous power. And
Right.
this creates three major issues.
Right. Tell me
The
the
first
three
issue
issues.
is corruption. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Here, here.
When banks have
Oh!
He's getting into his stride.
Yeah,
He's
man.
hitting it.
Pop, pop, pop.
Bam!
Say that again. Say that again, brother.
Fire it
say,
off.
say it again. Say it again. What are the three
major
problems?
issues.
Mm-hmm.
The first issue is corruption. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. The second issue of a centralized system is mismanagement. If the central authority's interest isn't aligned with the people it controls, there may be a case of mismanagement.
Sorry, but he says it right
For
there.
example,
The people it controls people.
Yeah.
If it's not aligned with the interest of the people it controls, it's messed up, man.
example, printing a lot of money in order to save a certain bank or institution from collapsing, as what happened in 2008. The problem with printing too much
700 billion?
It was actually more than that. It ended up more than, I think, around $1 trillion, because what happened was...
Spill me the tea, Jane. Spill me the tea. What happened was...
The government's not really in control of the country. The financial system is in control of the country. So when the markets crashed, Wall Street basically went to the government and said, we need a bailout or your entire country is ruined and so is everyone in it. So you're holding the government over a barrel. And the government was like, well, we don't really want to do it, but I guess we have no choice. And Wall Street lied about the amount of money they would need to be bailed out. So once the government had approved the first few $100 billion, they just kept going back and being like, we need more. And yeah, once you started, you can't stop. And I think the UK government put around 900 billion into the. I'm gonna get the figures and I'm gonna put them in afterwards, because I know I have them written down somewhere, and it is a crazy amount of money, crazy. And
But
you need to know.
But how do you get to the point where you're so in debt? Trillion. What are you doing with the money?
I also know the answer to that, but again, it's not really for this video. It's gonna take a long time. It's gonna take a long time to explain the reasons for the financial crash.
The actual right.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you want a video on the financial crisis,
It's super interesting.
It is interesting. Comment down below. Hello.
It's Bitcoin history as well, because Bitcoin came out, I think, 2009, which it was a response to the 2008 financial crash. Boom.
So if you want to hear that, I want to hear that. But apparently I don't matter. It's all about you guys. So let's continue. This is a long ass video.
One extreme example for this is Venezuela, where the government has printed so much money and the value of it has dropped so much that people are no longer counting money, but are weighing it instead. The last issue is control. You are basically giving away all control of your money to the government or bank. At any point in time, the government can decide to freeze your account and deny you access to your funds.
Okay, so this happened to me. Let me tell you. No, but let me tell the people. Yeah, so how is it that government tells me I can't transfer from my account to another account? They're like, no, I wanted to transfer money from my account to my crypto wallet, and he said no. I'm like, but it's my money. They're like, no, but you can't transfer it to this account. I'm like, but
who are you to tell me what I can do with my money?
that's what I'm saying.
Right.
You better tell them.
Reach.
They learned today.
Creating an alternative to the current monetary system seemed like a lost cause. But
Right.
then everything changed.
Oof.
In October of 2008,
What
a
happened?
document was published online by a guy calling himself Satoshi Nakamoto. The document, also called a white paper, suggested a way of creating a system for a decentralized currency called Bitcoin. This system claimed to create digital money that solves the double spend problem without the need for a central authority.
Boom.
At its core, Bitcoin is a transparent ledger without a central authority. But what does this confusing phrase even really mean? Well, let's compare Bitcoin to the bank. Since most money today is already digital, the bank basically manages its own ledger of balances and transactions.
Right.
However, the bank's ledger is not transparent, and it's stored on the bank's main computer. You can't sneak a peek into the bank's ledger, and only the bank has complete control over it. Bitcoin, on the other hand,
How did we agree to this system to begin with?
parent ledger. At any point in time, I can sneak a peek into the ledger and see all of the transactions and balances that are taking place. The only thing you can't figure out is who owns these balances and who is behind each transaction.
Perfect.
This means Bitcoin is pseudo-anonymous. Everything is open, transparent, and trackable, but you still can't tell who's sending what to whom. Let's explain this with an example.
So good.
You can see on your
Good
screen
idea.
certain rows from Bitcoin's ledger. We can see that a certain Bitcoin address sent 10,000 Bitcoins to another Bitcoin address in May of 2010. This specific transaction...
Sorry, how much?
2010.
Yeah, but for now, how much would that be worth? 10,000 Bitcoin. One Bitcoin is about 90,000 Swedish krona, which is like $9,000.
You're looking at me.
Because you're smart.
I'm not good at maths. It would be 9 million. 90 million pounds. Nine pounds. It would be so much money.
A lot of money.
It would be coin.
Okay, we're fair play.
purchase that was ever made with Bitcoin, and it was used to buy 2 pizzas by a guy named Laszlo. Laszlo published a post back in 2010 asking for someone to sell him 2 pizzas in exchange for 10,000 Bitcoins. Well, someone did, and now the price of these 2 pizzas is worth well over $100 million today. Bitcoin is also decentralized.
Expensive pizza.
With Bitcoin,
Wow.
every computer that participates in the system is also keeping a copy of the ledger, also known as the blockchain. So if you want to take down the-
So what's the blockchain? It's the copy?
Next video. What is the blockchain?
Yeah.
Boom.
Okay.
You like
the
that?
system
I
or
did,
hack the
yeah.
ledger, you'll have to take down thousands of computers which are keeping a copy and constantly updating it. Like
Wow.
most money today, Bitcoin is also digital. This means there's nothing physical that you can touch in Bitcoin. There are no actual coins. There are only rows of transactions and balances. When you own Bitcoin, it means that you own the right to access a specific Bitcoin address record in the ledger and send funds from it to a different address. So, what does all of this mean? Why is Bitcoin such big news? Well, for the first time since digital money came into existence, we now have an alternative to the current system. Bitcoin is a form of money that no
Fixing our
government or
problems.
bank can control. Think about the time before the internet, how centralized the flow of information was. Basically, if you wanted information, you could get it from a few major players, like the New York Times, the Washington Post, and others like them. Today, thanks to the internet, information is decentralized, and you can communicate and consume knowledge from around the world with the click of a button. Bitcoin is the internet of money, and it's offering a decentralized solution to money. Bitcoin has several advantages.
Can I just take a moment to say that he is a great salesman?
Yes.
System. First, it gives you complete control over your money. With Bitcoin, you and you alone can access your funds. How you actually do this will be explained in a later video. No government or bank can decide to freeze your account or confiscate your holdings. Bitcoin also cuts a lot of the middlemen from the process of transferring money. This means that in many cases, Bitcoin is cheaper to use than traditional wire transfers or money orders.
Yeah.
Also, unlike fiat currencies, Bitcoin was designed to be digital by nature. This means you can add additional layers of programming on top of it and turn it into smart money. But more on that in later videos.
What the hell
I
does that
don't know
mean?
what that means.
Bitcoin
We'll
opens
get
up
there.
digital commerce to 2.5 billion people around the world who don't have access to the current banking system.
Yeah.
These people
For
are
everybody.
or underbanked
For the
because of
masses.
where they live and the reality that they've been born into. However, today, with a mobile phone and a click of a button, they can start trading using Bitcoin. No permission needed.
Yes.
Today, there are several merchants online
You're your
and
own
offline
person.
that accept
Nobody
Bitcoin.
needs to give you
You
permission.
can order a flight or book a hotel with Bitcoin if you like. There are even Bitcoin debit cards that allow you to pay at almost any store with your Bitcoin balance.
wow.
I'm gonna get one of those.
The road toward
Yeah?
acceptance
Yeah.
by the majority of the public is still a long one.
That's today's video.
That's today's video.
That's it, folks. Next, we're going to talk about how does Bitcoin work? What is blockchain? What is a ledger? How do you send things? How do you get things? Is it safe?
Can you hack it?
How come someone can't just take all your coins?
Thank you for saying coins.
Oh no, it's rubbing off on me.
Coins!
No!
See you next... I was gonna say
Tomorrow.
week. Tomorrow.
See you next tomorrow. Bye.
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 Bye.